Yeah, it's good to get crosstalk again, Matt, I will say. And just take this to Johnny is always a nice thing.
It's good for us. I'm not exactly sure how much they enjoyed that. I had a great time, though.
No, it felt pretty good. And this is a weird situation we're in, Matt. First time we're casting together. How strange is that? I'm surprised you didn't run to HR and hand in your...
No, this is also the first time I'm casting with somebody I'm legitimately taller than. They don't have to fake it. So,
okay. We're dragging it down to that level already?
This is great.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm like maybe a hair taller than you. Maybe. I'm pretty sure we're roughly the same height.
We both qualify as short, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh, we both needed that box, to be fair, at one point in Arlington. I needed it for Scott and you needed it for Mitch, so yeah, unfortunately we both... Maybe I'll get my own branded box in Toronto, we'll have to wait and see. Right, anyway, Shock versus Boston. You give him a 9.5%. Look, they added Mag. Mag's pretty good. Well, Matt, does that not bump up a few?
It's also tough to add somebody in the middle of the season, especially somebody who's going to be playing the main tank role or just tank role right now. With a hero like Junkin, who you're basically playing around the entire time. It looks like they obviously, got Mag up there to Boston, to the facility as fast as possible. Obviously some practice time. But still, you're going up against a team who's been rock solid all season long. They've had a consistent roster, great play all around, undefeated. There's a lot going against them in this first game, which we see the Shock lineup here on your screen. Even if the Shock were to win this and take out Boston here, I don't really think you can learn a ton about Boston in this game, so to speak.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's going to take them time to kind of work Mag into the roster. Feels kind of smart, though, from Boston to throw him into this game. The Shock are still undefeated, like you said, so you're like, okay, we'll give Mag some time with the team in the server, in an official, to get him more up to speed than just, playing scrims. So, but yeah, proper Kilo, Kaluge, Finn, you know the vibe by now. We're going into control as our first game mode, and the team is undefeated, 14-0. They're about to maybe soon TM, we'll get that stat, but breach that ridiculous win streak in the regular season. There's not much this team can't do. I think we may have lost Matt somehow. Not sure. Which is great for our first cast together. That's very awesome. But yeah, I mean, what Matt was saying is, yeah, it's difficult to really hedge your bets against the Shock, right? I mean, they are 14-0. Are they going to make it 15 today? I feel like they're almost guaranteed to go to the lab, but things could change. Matt could shift it up just a tad and swing Boston in the opposite direction. I mean, Boston, to be fair, with Punk, have also looked pretty damn good. They're not fielding him today, as we take a look at the roster real fast. We've got Mag instead, and yeah, unfortunately he's just an icon right now. Maybe he's an icon for the Overwatch League, as he's only just transferred from the Washington Justice. But it's a full Korean lineup for Boston Uprising starting today, which is fairly interesting.
Right. Sorry, I apologize there, Jaws. Okay. Mitch ran in and heard things were going well, so he started to pull all the cords out. I think Mag kind of fits into this roster. You go with a full Korean lineup here. Maybe for what you obviously communication is huge between these teams, within Overwatch League and just with the fast nature of play. Maybe you gain something there. I thought Punk was actually playing quite well. When we have seen him on the Junker Queen. But if you have an opportunity where you think you can upgrade the roster and there's players from other teams that you can go out there and get, and that's kind of what you want to see from your team, if you're a fan, right? You always want to see them in a mode where they're looking to upgrade.
Yeah, and later down the line too, Mag can, as he's traditionally known, as a main tank player. So they have that in their back pocket, and they can also switch on Punk if there's ever a Diva meta or a Zarya or whatever. So yeah, I think it's a good all-round pickup for the Boston Uprising as well. It's whether they can actually take down the Shock, which doesn't seem likely, but yeah, there's always a chance.
I wouldn't overreact. If you are Boston and you're not able to come out on top here, you still have a pretty solid roster. You feel like you made an improvement here, bringing in Mag. You also have Punk still on the team, right? So you still have him, even if Mag doesn't kind of turn out with as high as upside as you think. And there's still a few games left for them. in this stage to make the tournament. The only thing is like you're seeing some performances from teams like Vancouver, where they may take up a tournament slot where they were never in consideration really in the past, right?
Which is just a wild thing to think about, I will say. I mean, I'm super happy for the way the Vancouver.
That last one hurt.
Right
As a former New Yorker, now a resident of West Canada, I felt that one.
Now a resident of West. Oh right, you just transferred your citizenship, I see, real quick off the back
Honorary.
of the dub. Yeah, I can appreciate that. All right, control. It's Lijiang. It's Gardens. And yeah, same comps. Who's really surprised? Nobody at this point. We'll see how Mag does against Kalush. Kalush has also been a crazy standout rookie this season already.
Yeah, I think where you can kind of make something happen if you're the Boston Uprising is maybe putting a lot of pressure on Finn and Violet, as we see Valentine go ahead and get that dash and the kill right on a Finn right away. I believe like after one of their last matches, it was an interview with Danny and Violet where he was mentioning like there's a large adjustment in that support line now, and maybe you can make them feel a little bit uncomfortable with the pace.
Ooh, Faith going super low. Saw Violet trying to chase after him. Both teams ended up trading 1-for-1 as Victoria fell to Kalush a moment ago. But, you know, these comps, they last for quite a while. Commanding Shout to back up for both Junker Queens, and everybody gets topped off with that overhealth. It does fade away. Point hasn't been capped yet as Proper ends up going down. Okay, now Boston Uprising can charge forwards. Max pretty low, but the Shock still managed to grab hold of the point. This comp can be fairly stally, but you do really need your Junker Queen to be on point to activate that stall. Kilo also ends up falling down, and the rest are to follow. MCD dies to a little Bowie knife there, but all good. Boston Uprising, find the replay.
And Queen is so dangerous to get close to, where you see Proper goes in and he gets taken out by Mag really fast. Really difficult to play close range against, but then also it's difficult to like outrange her, right? Because with the Lucio's speed and then her own Shout can get right into position rather quickly. So we'll see both teams with a sound barrier kind of counter each other out here. Valentine's built up this blade rather quick though.
Yeah, Proper's 10% away. You can definitely poke for it. There's the blade from Valentine, pretty quick, sharp. Good beat from the Shock, hits every single member. But the counter beat from the Uprising. They've let go of their rally. In fact, Finn is going to do exactly the same. The overhealth building up. Boston Uprising still have a little bit more, but the late blade from Proper's good. Mag first target is dead. Valentine to follow as he gets the reset straight to the back, helping Kalush clean up. Boston Uprising, 50+% on the board. You're definitely happy with that, getting both support ultimates out of the SanFranciscoShock.
Well, I think for the Shock, right, you flip the point back, you're going to have your Queen ult here, you're going to have also your Sojourn ult coming in. There's no support ults on the other side. You think this is another fight that you can win? Obviously, still dangerous with Mag going to have his ultimate up as well, but you win this fight, you start to like really get towards a point where you can take the lead.
Got to be careful. Kilo's just eyeing those angles with 100 charge. Like you mentioned, he's got that overclock coming up rather soon. There's the ult from Kalush, that rampage hitting 3, and Victoria and Faith and the rest of the squad are going to go down. Really nice, and you're able to save your overclock for the next fight too. We've seen how crazy Sojourn is in this meta. The amount of early picks you can get is kind of cracked. And some of the reasons teams are doing so well is their Sojourn player is just above and beyond the rest.
And that fight goes so one-sided to the Shock that like Boston doesn't even have an opportunity, right, to like brawl it out and then lose and gain some large ultimate charge on any of their other players. They're in the same exact spot that they came into that fight with, and that's going to be a rampage from Mag that connects to 3.
Oh yeah, pretty confident going into that fight. They know they can just speed past the bridge and hit him with the rampage. Oh, nice little boot from Faith, sends Kilo over the edge, but the Shock is still holding on to this fight somewhat. Proper is still alive, but with the speed boost of Faith and Mag just charging forward, the commanding Shout, a little bit difficult for the backline to stay alive, but scrappy as ever, the SanFranciscoShock managed to hold on. 10% to go, and Blade, Rally, B coming up.
Yeah, now you're in lots of trouble if you're the Boston Uprising. You're not going to get another shot at these DPS ultimates, most likely. You're going to have a rally. You're really worried at this point who is going to touch. It looks like you're going to get a touch from Valentine to trigger OT.
Yeah, he does get knifed though, unfortunately. Skewered. Blade from Proper still activated. He pulls it. And, I mean, that's just round over. Not much else you can really do. SanFranciscoShock had both support ultimates coming into that fight. MCD had the rally at the very end. And the Boston Uprising's hopes for round number 1 cut quite short, like mine and Matt's height.
Well, you can also see why people have been kind of talking about, like, calling it Jotes or comparing it to Goats, right? Because, like, once you start to get the ultimates rolling in your favor, and you can start to turn these fights over pretty fast in dominant fashion and really just kind of like bleed the other team out. When teams are about even, that's when you see kind of it also resemble that composition where fights go for an extended period of time because you have the shout, which is like an AoE speed, also burst heal. You have both the Lucio's auras for whether it's the speed or the healing, and then you also get the Brig in position to just trigger Inspire constantly, where the fights just last forever in that neutral when both teams are pretty even in terms of ults.
I think this meta has really shown so many funny aspects of Overwatch, like the Coliseum game with the Shock, 2.5 minute plus without a single kill. Unlike this map, of course, where both Sojourns find headshots. But yeah, I mean, the stalling is just insane.
Yeah, you can just keep the stall going for a while. Look at this. So we're kind of opening up like pretty similarly to last round. Not totally secured yet, but Boston off to a pretty good start. We'll see if they can get control of the point. Obviously going to have to keep the Shock off of that, but Proper gets a huge pick there.
Yeah, on MCD. That's a lot of your healing going down. I like Violet's positioning it in amongst that fight. The Boston Uprising were trying to like taunt them, like bait them in, just try and touch that point before we end up capping. But yeah, with MCD dying like that, it's go again for Boston Uprising.
So now for Boston. See how they decide to attack this. I think these are like the more interesting fights of this meta. Not exactly when like the ultimates are in play, because you kind of get into like a little bit of a order of operations with how that's gonna go. I think in these neutral fights, it's how can a team get that advantage, use the shout, get in position, really start to just rack up the Inspire and the auras.
Yeah, a lot of it's just those Sojourns getting 100 charge and then hopefully getting a headshot. Oh, this time Max starts it out pretty quick. Both Brigittes fall over, and it's up to Violet and Faith to keep both teams healthy. Violet might want to just use this beat to secure this fight. We'll see what he wants to do. He does end up doing that. And now Mag is the target. The flip comes through for Boston, but with Mag just cut asunder, yeah, you are going to look for a very quick reflip there for the SanFranciscoShock. It's nice to deny some extra percent there, but Violet had his beat up super early, and Faith lagging behind.
That's what happens when you lose some of these fights in such fast, dominant fashion, right? Is going to end up with a rally here shortly as well, but you're going to get up to, what, 60% plus here for the Shock. You lose this fight for Boston, you're going into a fight where you could be looking like last fight territory almost, how long these fights go, with like nothing to use to break that setup.
There's the overclock. Beat to match. Proper's Blaze been pulled, so both DPS from the Shock now out. But Kilo still managed to find a kill even through that beat. The Boston Uprising have the rally. MCD activates, but Victoria and Mag are pretty low still. Victoria used that shift to get all the way back into his own backline, but Kalu's just piling on that pressure. That rampage through the entirety of the Uprising, and with 80% and counting, the Boston Uprising only have that one ult coming back. They can generate the rampage. Maybe it's winnable, but looking quite unlikely.
Yeah, I was going to say the positive for Boston is they got the Shock to use everything, but the fight gets dragged out for so long. You're just reliant on Mag being able to build up this rampage, and then Valve getting a huge blade.
Oh! Completely denied by Proper. Nice kiting there by Finn, and Violet activating the speed boost, and the SanFranciscoShock speeding down the road with a 1-0 to start us out.
Just really clean there from the Shock. I think you're going to see, I mentioned it on the desk last week, I kind of still stand by it. I think in a meta like this, when one team is really got to go in like the Shock, you're going to see some one-sided games. I think the first point was relatively close. I think the second point, though, was all San Francisco.
Yeah, Mag found some nice openings on round number 1, but yeah, it went the Shock's way in the end. A clean 2-0 to start off the series. We'll see if Boston can flip it around after this.
said lightning doesn't strike twice has never met the San Francisco Shock.
Just a depth of talent on their roster that can't be denied.
Some of the most hardcore carry performances that I've ever seen.
This is going to be a wild ride.
Somehow Vital's going to come to the rescue, get a double kill.
Kalu says, how about that one, Chief? See you later.
Dude, his aim is so crispy.
Man, doesn't miss those. Holy cow.
Sam straight to the backline, insta-killing. Oh, Mikey!
San Francisco, the greatest team in Overwatch.
Yeah, welcome back. Here's a cool stat card for you. Yeah, I know you love those. 10 final blows and only a single death for Kaluj in Lijiang Tower on the Junker Queen. It was pretty one-sided, so a little bit expected, but still pretty good stats nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, extremely one-sided after that first round. Even after, what, the first, like, one, maybe two fights after that first round, right? It was really all San Francisco, so not too surprised to see, you know, Kaluj's stats be really good, because Junker Queen is getting in the mix a lot, right? The self-healing isn't, like, as prominent as I think, like, people may think when you kind of think about her kit. You know, because self-healing is like one of the cool things about it, I think, one of the cooler things about it, but the numbers aren't massive, right? But she does tons of damage up close with the axe and the shotgun, even like, you know, her knives, whether it's throwing or just the melee, right, to get the bleed.
Yeah.
Just, you're going to see Queens put out a ton of damage in a lot of these games. I think you've seen that so far this stage.
Yeah, I feel like that's why a lot of DPS players are pretty good at her. Mirror, for example. Mirror, very good example after that last match. Dante, of course, who could forget. And there's a reason why he put on the Doomfist too, was a DPS here and then switched over to tank. Oh, I do want to correct something real quick. Scott was confused, and as always, Scott is 70% right. This is San Francisco Shock's 17th game, or like their 18th game. And if they win here, there'll be 18 wins in a row. And that's one before Titans. So Titans had the 19 regular season win streak. If the Shock win here,
I appreciate
18,
Scott though,
so.
just like, you know what? I think I know this, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna tell people it's 70% true. And
I mean,
he was
look,
he was about right.
Yeah, if you say anything with enough confidence, people believe you're right. I mean, that's just how well, that's how Johnny's got this far.
That's how you got here.
Oh, okay, well, yep, that's also true. Not a color cast this year, thankfully, so I don't have to be right about anything, actually. All right, Hollywood is the map, and Boston Uprising on the defense. No surprise, no comp changes. Although, I did expect maybe some teams running on the Ashe on the defense, holding up at the cafe, but Sojourn's still really good at hitting the one-shots.
Yeah, I think, like, the Ashe, like, maybe on the high ground, especially on the defense here, right? Because, like, the effective range of Ashe is really good, but I think the thing with Sojourn is we see Proper get that first kill, and just kind of kills being traded here. Boston just like rushes up the stairs.
He's a mess.
I think the thing with the Sojourn that's so interesting is like what she's got great mobility, right? Like, you know, pretty good consistent damage. I think the thing that's really like kind of throws people off with the Sojourn is like you never know how charged her rail is, so you never exactly know like how dangerous she is to go after in a way. To where she can really be punishing, and I think catches people off guard a ton with being able to land like rail shots and just like insta kills when people don't expect that to happen whatsoever.
Man, Proper's going on these little wild flanks. They were not even flanks really, he's just off to the side, and then when anybody gets pulled in, he just goes for a dash on top of it. Nice little team kill there for the Shock. They'll be able to claim the point. Yeah, and the disruptor shot too, I will say, man, in the chokes, it slows people down, but it also, the AoE damage is kind of nuts, and because you're fighting in this death ball anyway, it's racks up damage like pretty fast.
You see Boston though right there, right? They kind of like, you know, we usually talk about Overwatch in terms of like fights, right? They kind of win that first one, but like it never actually ends because everybody gets back so fast, and like the next fight happens, and like there's almost just no downtime between it, right? You see like the Shock and the amount of time they have to take this second point. It's almost like there was zero defense played at the beginning. It's going to be a blade that comes through, rally to answer it.
Yeah, a beat from Violet, though. Going to push Proper forward. He's not scared any longer. Goodbye, Mag. MCD's rally. Yeah, rally's pretty decent at stopping the blade if you can build it up for long enough, but the burst damage is way too much for the rally to actually counteract. You really need that beat. And a nice heads-up play from the Shock there, beating in with Proper to make sure he actually gets some value winning this fight and taking the high ground.
How brutal is it, in your opinion? Like when the other team is a Genji that's like popping off in this type of meta, like the way we're seeing Proper right now, I almost feel like it's like devastating for Boston. Like there's no, because if you can't just deal with Proper and like you have to look for him everywhere, you're just getting run down by the Queen, Lucio, and Brig, and there's no way you could take your focus off of them, right? I feel like if your Genji is really dominating, it's tough.
Oh, see if Violet can serve out the same domination. Kilo using that disruptor shot to good effect, but it is his feet, so Valentine had a bit of a tougher time actually getting to him and one-shotting him. And in fact, it basically wasted the whole plate on one kill. You'll take that any day of the week if you're the SanFranciscoShock and use your beat in the last fight. So, yeah, not a problem at all. Now they're going to just assault the high grounds. There's the beat from Fate, though, pushing them forward and pushing Shock off. The payload's been moved quite a distance, mind you, but this should just be the cleanup. Nice double kill from Victoria's right click. But yeah, I will say, Matt, with if the enemy Genji in the neutral is just outplaying like your Genji or like your other DPS to such an extent,
getting kills on the Brig, right? Like we've seen Proper
yeah,
a few
it
times
feels
just like bad. Dash right through and take out the Brig. And what do you do at that point? Like, you're not going to engage, like, but you also just don't have the ability to back up. You're just kind of like stuck where Proper's been so good at doing that. I actually think those kills by Victoria were massive there just to buy them some more time, because if he doesn't pick up those kills, you're having Kilo come back in the fight here with his ultimate. That's going to be Mag with a nice rampage.
Yeah, Mag only got one. It was Kalush, but they do manage to focus him down. Looked like a small boop. He hit his little head on one of those wooden columns, but Boston Uprising still coming up big. Kalush hit 2 with his rampage to put it into perspective, but Mag, even though with the boot, managed to get more value. And the Boston Uprising have that rally for the next fight to match Finn's. But speaking about the Genji, Matt, the Lucios and their ability to build beat, like it really does separate the best Lucios from the Lucios that are like pretty okay, because the beat charge rate is just so important. Like the ultimate is just so important in these fights. If you have it quicker, the tempo you can set is unreal.
It's one of the more interesting things with Shout, right? Is and I think we've all talked about like how the the heal works, but it's just another character that can provide speed, right? Where like it gives Lucio a little bit more options on how he'd like to use his auras, as he's typically just been kind of like on perma speed duty. So,
feels pretty good for Lucio player though.
Here.
Yeah, double rally. Shock used the rally to push the cart forward. Now Boston Uprising jump on top of them with a rally of their own, but Proper with the blade in the back. MCD's the perma target if you're Proper right now, and he's doing an amazing job executing it. Boston Uprising, however, stalled out for a fair amount of time. Shock only had a minute coming into this second point, as they do end up capping, so you definitely can be happy with that if you're the Boston Uprising.
They burn
now
like 3 minutes.
Long corridor.
They burned like 3 minutes, right? When the Shock had actually gotten the payload moving. They had like 4 minutes on the clock as Kalush, welcomes Mag to the Boston Uprising after it's got to be so weird for Kalush and Mag. Like, hey, wait, we played against each other last week, but now we're doing it again. But team, like, wait, what? You also notice that the Shock, they combo the rally with the beat there in the blade, and they know that's almost like a guaranteed fight win, right? To get the card over the line.
Ooh, Jesus. Wow. Proper and Kilo. That was... Alright. That was a fight. It happened, I think. Quick team kill. Boston Uprising don't use ults, though.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't really use any ultimates, like try and not invest like incredibly heavily, right? But like maybe you go with the overclock there, right? And you try and get a pick or two that you can kind of hold there for a little bit. Because my fear for Boston is you come into like this next fight, you use like 2 or 3 of these ultimates. The Shock, they just kind of like concede the fight. They drag it out to build some more ultimates, and they come back with overclock blade, rampage. They come back with everything, right?
There's Blade. Valentine already got booped away. Still has the dash, though, straight to the back. He's still got it in his back pocket. Perfect persistence and perfect patience there from Valentine, following that slash up with a dash and waiting for all of those boops to come out before He jumped on top of Kilo. 60 seconds to go, and the Boston Uprising have a really good chance here, Matt, of defending at this point 3.
Yeah, Kaluj has to get a big rampage here, and then you're going to have proper go crazy with the blade. He's not going to have the benefits of the beat, though. They will have rally here. So Boston, they're going to opt to play this really close.
Double rally. Overclock from Kilo, trying to snipe people out. It's going to be tough. That overhealth's building up, but an unreal ult from Kaluj hits Mag and Victoria. Mag was already pretty low. He needed heals, but didn't get it before he got antied. Victoria with some heroics, maybe, popping an overclock of his own, but Proper quickly shuts it down with a blade. A double kill for the Genji, and the SanFranciscoShock pushing Boston all the way to spawn. Boston do have that rampage coming out, and Mag's going to throw it in, but a nice little boop. It doesn't quite get enough space before Mag touches the point, but it stops it in its tracks almost. It only managed to get Proper at the end of it. The SanFranciscoShock going to end this with a sound barrier, as the Uprising don't have any support ultimates to try and hold on to this point. Overtime, though, for Boston, not too shabby whatsoever.
Considering where we were at the end of point A, right, where they had like 4 minutes, the Shock, to get that checkpoint B, to dwindle all of that clock down, albeit they're still able to complete. You got to take that if you're the Boston Uprising. And mind you, this is a Boston Uprising with that first game with Mag. Don't know how long he's been there. Don't know how long he's been able to practice or how much he's been able to practice with the team, right? But being able to go toe-to-toe with a team like San Francisco, you got to feel pretty good about it here if you're Boston.
Yeah, thinking about how long he's been with the team, unless he finished his game, he already had his bags packed, and then he goes straight to the airport, you know, just to jump on the flight. So he hasn't had a lot of time at all, and they still look pretty decent so far against a undefeated SanFranciscoShock, finishing an OT. Let's have a look at a small replay. What's this going to be? Oh, yeah, Proper shutting down Victoria's overclock. Oh, spotted out a mile away. Would have been a nice overclock if you got a good angle there from Victoria, but Proper a little bit quicker with his ult.
Yes, just seems like he gets so much value out of the blades every single time. I think the Shock do a fantastic job of, cycling their ultimates, kind of having a really great read on what Boston's going to have available at times, and obviously what they can kind of use against that. So we are going to see Kilo on the Ashe here on defense. This is something we were both talking about in the first half, where maybe you can make use of the Ashe here on defense. The sight lines really good for Ashe here. Good dynamite opportunities right from the high ground, like really easy to hit.
Yeah, it feels pretty good. If you have to back up too, you just hide in the cafe, just throw dynamite to choke over and over again. And Kilo and Proper doing what they do best, and just look at this. I mean, the damage even Violet's getting out is kind of insane. Someone look at him, maybe he's 20 HP. No, gets healed up with a pack.
Is he invisible?
That was, yeah. It felt like you had the Harry Potter invisibility cloak there for a second.
Yeah, that's one where he is just crouching directly behind. He's like using the car as cover, but also like he's just like standing behind Mag.
Mag, please turn around. I mean, this is what Proper and Violet have been doing for the last few games in this meta, was just holding down an angle as a duo. And in fact, Valentine and Faith are going to try and do the same thing. But Proper, a little bit better than Valentine in this instance. And they just get run over. Maybe they can try and make that work again. Nice little reflect kill.
And he has been insane here in this series so far on the Genji. I feel like he's like every series, he's just so consistent. You just hope he doesn't ruin like the awards, right? With like Rookie of the Year, MVP, like it just gets spread the wealth a little
doubles
bit.
down, gets both. I mean, hey, some people say it shouldn't happen, but if he keeps up this performance, I definitely think it should. One kill with the blade, nice deflect. This man's game sense too is kind of out of this world. I don't know. This is definitely a talk for another time, Matt, but has Proper been a player, that a rookie, that has stood out the most of any other rookie in any of the seasons? It's definitely a talk we can have later, maybe on the desk or maybe on
that's a tough one.
Of some sort. It's hard to say, right? You'd have to look back throughout how many years of Overwatch League.
Yeah, and we've had some tremendous like rookie performances. I'd also say like the Shock here, just kind of spawn camping boss and get coming from the high ground here. Let's see if
nice play.
Valentine can maybe change
damage from Valentine there. He was slashing like 3 people with one left click. That was pretty nasty.
Proper
And now he just
Finn's
needs to
still
deal
alive
with
somehow.
Finn and Proper, but Proper is still alive. And by the way, Proper, yeah, he's still killing people, and they almost spawn camping as a duo. Not sure how that works. Maybe just the fear instilled within the Uprising after seeing Proper in the lobby. The shot's
Also
going to be able to
say,
come
though,
back because Proper is alive still.
Yeah, with how good Proper has been, like, it just puts, I think, more pressure on them to win, right? Like, you can have this incredible rookie season, right? But if you don't win the tournaments and, you know, stage finals and playoffs, like, how much does it really matter? Like, just kind of regular season accolades?
Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, the San Francisco Shock right now
This
just
is
dismantling the Boston Uprising.
this is not great for Boston right now, Jack.
This is,
So,
yeah.
let's just say they have no ultimates coming into this next fight. You may have a rampage.
Yeah.
Proper, who has been going on a rampage, has a blade. And Kalush will have his rampage. And you're probably going to get a rally.
There's the blade.
It's been
There's
tough.
1 kill. Just make it more. 2. Make it a 3rd. Give him the 5k. Why not? God. I mean, what is happening?
To give Boston like a little bit of benefit of the doubt here, right? When the other team is playing, like the Shock know each other so well, they know exactly what they want to do. They play at such a fast pace. When you're kind of putting in a new tank who may or may not have gotten a ton of practice time with this team into the lineup to play at that type of pace, it's going to take time to like get the decision making down with everybody else. So,
Yeah.
like this is just a really tough draw for the Boston Uprising in this match.
It really is, yeah. Ooh. Nice little tack knife on the top rise of high rise there. Nice, not bad.
Yeah.
It's,
I mean, they didn't get close to the point. They didn't get close to the point. I mean,
well, they touched at the very end. They touched, you know, just for half a second. But
okay,
it is tough.
Technically, they touched, but I mean, I almost would have seen like I just feel like this is a really tough position to put Mag in, right? Coming in and playing, like, especially after playing against the Shock last week, like trying to acclimate to the new team.
Yeah.
Having him in here today, because you know, he did look good a little bit on Lijiang Tower. I think here they were able to hold on defense, but nothing going on offense. I think just a really tough draw for the Boston Uprising, but man, the Shock do look good.
They look squeaky clean. Yeah, Mag, wishing he wasn't in the same position he was last week, or reverse swept last week too, so maybe that's a small cloud over their head. We'll see if Boston Uprising can keep themselves in the series though, or will Shock just continue their rampage through the regular season? I don't know. Let's find out after this. What better time to show off your artistic talent than the Summer Showdown? Share your art celebrating summertime in the Overwatch League on the Fan Art Gallery today, and you might get featured on the broadcast, which would be really cool. URL is on screen, overwatchleague.com/art-gallery. So head over there and submit your artwork today. All right, Boston Uprising, SanFranciscoShock. Bit of a brutal Hollywood. Yeah, kind of rough. But, you know, I don't like saying, you know, they can do it, they can win. It's definitely the biggest upward hill struggle here for the Boston Uprising. They've just incorporated Mag, who's come off of a loss to the SanFranciscoShock last week. But on Control, it looked a bit closer. Hollywood, not so much. But you can definitely see bright spots here for the Boston Uprising, even though, you know, the Shock are up 2-0 already.
And maybe, like, could you have given Mag a series to... Like, you know, because we talked about, like, Punk has been playing well, right? Could you have kind of let Punk play today? Like, let Mag get a little bit more acclimated, right? You're not just kind of throwing him in there against the Shock in the first game, right? Obviously, you know you want to win. And maybe you feel that Mag is the best way to do that today. I think it kind of seems like that is the direction they want to go for the future. But, like... Pung has been playing pretty well. I think you would have put Mag in maybe a better situation, right, to just kind of get a little bit more acclimated, not have to play against the Shock yet again. Here is we have Circuit Royale coming up. I was actually going to ask you, what would you draw for that wall, you know, the summer wall? I mean, it is hot here in LA. I would have drawn people just melting. I mean, I've been trying to go out for walks, and like it is brutal out there.
I won't even touch outside right now. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not touching grass. I'm not touching. Although how much grass?
I don't like to go outside.
Not much.
But
yeah. Well,
even
you don't
on
go
the
outside,
chance
but like
that I want to go outside, I'm like, man, it is too hot. I'm going back in.
Yeah, there's just no way. I'm not.
I take Hugo out sometimes, and he looks at me. He's like, "Do we really have to go? Like, I like these walks, but I'm kind of good."
I feel like Hugo needs to wear like little booties, little like shoes, because the pavement, like that must be scorching right now.
Yeah, he's got.
It is disgusting. Just disgusting. I mean, look, when I moved to the States, I was like, hell yeah, it's sunny all the time. I can't wait. It's gonna be great. And then you reach like the height of summer. I was like,
what
man,
are we jamming out here? Somebody's got to like take all of these together and put them in like some kind of like mix. Just create a song out of all the players just shooting, jumping on the piano.
That was very nice, Finn. I enjoyed that.
Boston on defense, they're going to play close to the spawn. Nothing too surprising here. Do we see Proper stay on the Hanzo? Do we see him go back to the Genji? Like, I mean, you could play Hanzo here, right? For, you know, just the... Maybe get a pickoff off the spawn, but he is so good. That looked like a deflector of some damage.
Where'd he go?
Right back into MCD.
Yeah. I think you're bang on the money there, Matt. I think it was a reflect. Yikes, that's not great. I don't think it's one of those times you don't really expect, and then you've already shot all of your bullets, and then it just reflects this MCD.
I think if you kind of like slowed it down, I think the bullets were coming in as Proper was in the spawn swapping from Hanzo to Genji, and then just like appeared in the same position as Genji and hit it straight away. Yeah,
that was very silly. I mean, it's kind of standard to spawn hold at this point. You need to get a couple of fights here. When the Sigma comps were a thing, you would either take 2 fights, like fight on the first corner and then fight on the last, but a lot of teams just held on this last corner before this point. Oh, Victoria, 13 HP, someone pack him, please. Oh, no, that's so unlucky.
I feel like this,
dude,
this map...
Look at him go!
I mean...
Like, look at this guy go. Like, 5 kills, just like that in a blink of an eye, quick team kill. This guy's just, he's a freak on the sticks, man.
This map, I think, really evened out once you got the Sigma comps out of it. Like, there's not really a great opportunity for Boston to hold, like, high ground here. And when the other team kind of has it rolling in the neutral, right, with the way the Shock do right now, it's tough to be able to fight this. They're going to try and fight one more time, though, here on the cart.
These comps are pretty quick, especially with the Junker Queen commanding shout. 0.9 meters before he gets capped. Very early rally from Finn. Boston Uprising haven't really had the chance to build up ultimates, but, you know, forcing that out, honestly, not the worst. You're going to have rally and beat for the next fight, even though Shock do end up capping.
You needed something. You needed to leave that fight for the Boston Uprising, you know, maybe not winning it entirely and stopping payload progress, but just getting a little bit of a win, and maybe getting that rally out of the equation is it. So take a look at Proper from his POV. 1 dash through 2. Yeah, I mean, this is just... that's just filthy stuff. Yeah.
It's always good seeing Genji's back in the meta, that is for sure. Valentine, speaking of Genji's, pulling the blade. Proper's got one over him, though. Because now Proper's going in with the resets. Victoria, like, kind of running for his life, and in fact, the entirety of the Boston Uprising playing all the way back. 4-man anti from the Rampage. Kaluch in a fat one. Boston Uprising cowering in the corner, and it's all Proper just getting the resets. Even just blocking Mag off from the rest of his team. Mag in a lot of trouble.
Oh, so what do you do here if you're Boston? You kind of have your overclock, you have your Rampage. You come out of this spawn, if the Rampage isn't good, you are going to find yourself really far behind, especially if you lose that fight for the rest of the game. So you have to be really careful here how they play this.
Kilo popping the overclock. Victoria doing the same. There's the Rampage, but this time from the Uprising. It's going to be fairly decent. Hits both Kalush and... What? Dude, was he sliding away?
Oh, like in the middle of the... Wait, what?
Come on. Man's just too good. Go on, Proper. 1v4, you won't? No, he won't. He's going to back off. That was a disgusting reflect there. Anyway, like, can this just turn into a replay stream? He's
like moving backwards. I think he had like jumped off of the high ground here and like reflected a reflected headshot, I think, right back at him. It's gonna be a rally in the cinematics from the Shock.
It is where you see those. Only the cinematics and Proper's gameplay. There's the blade. Mag in a lot of trouble. He's already gotten one. Commanding shout gives that blade so much extra speed, and you don't end up going down because of all the extra health. Shock end up capping at the second point. After, what was it, like a 1 minute and 30 to 2 minute hold on seconds, not the worst. Hardest point to capture though, this final point on Circuit Royale.
Like, I feel as if people, like we talk about how good Proper is all the time, and people are just like, oh, well, they may just not have anything else to talk about. But it's like, no, he's just insane to watch. Really good, I mean, he does stuff that like every game that would be like the ultimate highlight of somebody else's like career. I feel like he just won like every single series, but that one was just crazy. I'm still just like, what happened there?
Yeah, I don't know. More replays, please. I wouldn't mind at all. The Shock have beats. They've got Overclock coming out. They've got the Rampage.
Austin's giving up a lot
double
of space
support ultimate. They are, but they got double support ult, so you might as well bait him in with the rally, right? Copium. Okay, there's the ult. Vive's going to respond in with a beat. Mag stepped way too far forward, and the face speed just a fraction of a second too late. They do end up trading Junker Queens. Now Kilo is under a lot of pressure. That overhealth now fading away from both support ultimates from the Boston Uprising as Kilo trying to go for a duel with Victoria. He's missed a lot of shots, and Victoria getting kept alive by MCD's Pax and Faith using that healing aura. Kilo's Overclock didn't really find all too much, and the Boston Uprising going to be able to hold on this corner, waiting for Mag to come back. But now they've got to be scared. Kalush with the Rampage. He's rounding that final corner.
I was going to say, it's like a prime opportunity for him to use a Rampage, right? There's no support ultimates on the other side. Maybe players want to play a little bit far out of it, but if you just sacrifice your tank, you're in such a rough spot.
How did he hit that? Wow. Hit it on a flying Lucian.
Bit of a fade.
Yeah, you have to touch the point, but you also don't want to be sat in the Rampage. Rampage only hits one, but it's a good target to hit. MCD glowing bright purple as Valentine pulls the blade. Victoria's also found a kill onto Kilo. Remember, the Boston Uprising do have better spawns here, so as long as Mag and MCD end up staying alive, they might be good. Got to be careful, as Proper does have that blade and Finn with the rally.
In a rally. Yes, you're going to have rally plus the blade. So they've been comboing a lot with the sound barrier in the blade, but this time, try and get the card over the line. See where they decide to come from. Looks like they're waiting for Kalush to get back in the fight. You have Kilo just putting down some damage at range. See how they decide to play this. Look at this. I mean, Proper's like front line.
Yeah, I mean, why not? You've got the blade. They're too scared of you. Straight to the spawn. Thorns. Oh, he gets taken out by a bash from MCD, but I mean, all the focus from the Uprising was on Proper as Kalush was just tearing them apart. The Boston Uprising lose their Genji, and now it's only Fate to touch the point. He's moving people away, doing a little bit of damage. MCD's going to come in, trying to whack people with his flail, but it's not enough. A minute and 10 for the Shock as they complete circuit.
It sounds crazy to say, like, I don't think Boston, like, obviously with the way the series has looked, the Shock have been dominant throughout, but I wouldn't exactly say that, like, it's because Boston has played bad. I just think the Shock have just looked on another level today. Like, the ultimate usage from the supports on Boston has been fine, right? You know, maybe not the same level of, like, Genji play, but where in the league are you going to find the same level of Genji play as, like, Proper? And then you're also kind of looking at Boston through the lens of they're incorporating a new tank into the mix, right? In the first game that he's played, where, you know, a series like this from Boston's probably good enough to beat a bunch of other teams in the league. Just not the Shock, man, as they look unbelievable right now.
I mean, the peel for MCD was nice at the end. Kalush hit him with the Rampage. You're thinking, well, that's an easy kill, especially on a Brig, but Faith booping people away, using the speed to get MCD out of there, making sure the fight is prolonged so the spawns can come in. So, yeah, I mean, I'd agree. I think Boston Uprising in general, they've looked a lot better in this meta, a lot more comfortable, regardless of tank. Oh, here's the replay on the reflect. Oh, I mean, come on, bro. Like, that is just stupid. Like, through the trees, too. He do be kind of crazy. I kind of see what Victoria was trying to do, though. He's trying to time the end of the reflect, which can be quite tough. So,
Proper hit in the tree.
Proper did camouflage himself in the tree, yeah.
Playing some Warzone, Gold Air. He's out there just hide.
Got the ghillie suit on.
Yeah, he's got the ghillie suit. Like, always like, Call of Duty staple. Because whenever anybody's got the ghillie suit skin on, they're noob. Those are the people you charge down. You're like, that guy is a noob. You charge him down. Boston Uprising make the Shock look like noobs here at the beginning, though. Look at this. Little fight win.
Yo, true and real. Yeah, Mag standing up to us, what you like to see. See if they can have the same effect on this last corner. Look at Victoria's and Keto's ult charge. Damn, 54 to 20%. It's pretty nutty.
This next fight is huge, though, right? If you win this, if you're Boston, depending on where it kind of kicks off, and really with how much space the Shock are giving you, like, it's pretty much going to be a fight for that first checkpoint.
Ooh. Precision and control. Yeah, it's me about ult charge. Victoria sentences Kilo to death over and over again. Nice little kill onto Fit. The San Francisco Shock not expecting this aggression from the Boston Uprising. They do end up killing Mag, which is a big pick for San Francisco. But can they actually capitalize on it? There's a little to no frontline for the Boston Uprising. Victoria is going to pop that overclock as Kalush ends up going down. And in fact, the Boston Uprising speed running that first point. Okay.
It's a little bit like what I was talking about. Like they're playing well enough to win against just like about almost any other team. Even if the chance, like, if Proper wasn't going like, you know, 20, 25 or 30-0 like every map, like this series probably would be super close. Because Boston with adding a new tank, has looked quite good and coordinated today.
Yeah, considering he hasn't been on the team long. It's looking pretty decent so far. All right, what a shock having their little goodie bag. They have a beat, well, they have a blade, they have a rally coming up. But it's all up to Valentine's Blade here. Ideally, you just stall out for a bit of time to gain both support ultimates. You can kind of grasp where Shock are also on that scale. Normally, both support squads are going to get their ults around the same time. Just the output of damage from Violet is kind of insane for a Lucio. There's the early rally from MCD, trying to push forward. The Shock still trying to kite back, maybe waiting for Finn's ultimate to come back up. There's Proper with the blade straight to the back, doing a lot of damage, but a beat in kind for Faith to keep them up and alive. And now even a rally from Finn. Valentine pops a blade of his own, does get booed back, but still holding on to that dash. Kilo hasn't got any mobility left, and he hasn't got legs either. The San Francisco Shock pushed far back, but Finn still manages to come up with a kill on MCD. A random flail from across the map ends the Break's life. I think this is defendable now if you're the San Francisco Shock. A good rampage from Mag, and Shock still managing to contest, but they're on their last limbs. Valentine picks up Proper off the back of the kill on Violet, and the Boston Uprising doing a fairly good job, staggering their support ultimates and just waiting for the Shock to trickle onto the point. And they cap point B with 4 minutes and 30 to spare, Matt.
Lightning fast time, and you kind of look on for the Shock. You have the Rampage coming in, you have your Overclock. You're going to need to get really great value out of both of those ultimates. Like, I mean, maybe ideally you'd really just like to use one of them in this next fight. Give yourself like almost like 2 fights with those ultimates to stop the bleeding, so to speak, as Boston really taking it to him on the offensive side of things.
It definitely feels good for Boston Uprising. I like the hold here from Boston, just holding this high ground. Just Victoria is sitting so far away that if Shock want to kind of extend to try and stop him, the rest of the Uprising can converge on his position and help him out. However, this is the corner that is the most painful. You really just have to get Victoria set up and get him a kill. Both overclocks coming out now, just looking at the kill feed to see if a Sojourn has killed somebody just yet, but doesn't look like Kilo or the rest of the Shock are willing to beat Victoria, rather wise, but Boston Uprising getting a lot of free cart push.
And interesting, I wonder if the Shock thought that there was going to be a commitment from the Boston Uprising there, because Kalush had used the shout really early. Now he's going to go in around the corner with a Rampage, and that is a good one. Connects at 4 players, trying to grab Mag in. Going to take him out, as that's going to be a fight win for the Shock.
Yeah, that was massive from Kalush. Dude, it feels like so many sections of maps are just perfect for Junker Queen Ult. They're like straight lines. It's kind of nuts.
The range in which like the Rampage hits, right? It's way bigger than I think one would expect. So when the Rampage happens in a hole, you're going to connect with just about everybody.
Early beat from Faith here as Proper still holding on to that blade. Kilo just, was that a collat from Kilo, or was that just 2 quick headshots? Not sure. Not sure. Regardless though, spawn camp for the Shock. The San Francisco spawn camp. MCD's gonna have to come up with something big. Well, I mean, you build up rally, but you're just wasting a lot of time. Time bank's still pretty large, but the payload's moving back. I mean, it kind of blows. Oh, the Shock, okay. Backing all the way up. What's the plan, Stan? Okay, quick engage. Commanding shout. Blade pulled by Proper. His target is Mag. Kalush takes him out, earns Proper a reset. MCD also falls. No rally invested from the Boston. Wow, that was a hefty right click there for Proper. No rally invested from MCD to start off the fight. So Proper has been able to get a lot of free value on these blades. There's no shot. Matt is disconnected. Am I cursed to just disconnect my color casters? Not sure. Not sure. There's the beat from Violet. Rally from MCD. Start out the fight, but you can see that overhelp's already disappeared. Valentine gets a nice 2-man dash and a kill onto Proper. Kalush is pretty low, and Mag with a nice bit of focus fire is going to help take him out. However, look at where the San Francisco Shock is still playing. They're going to start up that rally, and Violet and Finn are just booping people into the wall. I mean, you can take that any day of the week if you're the San Francisco Shock. Their ability to act on like 2-man or 3-man, like goon squads, little units is kind of insane. And look at how much progress has been denied. That payload was almost at the last checkpoint, and it's all the way back here. 900 IQ from Shock. See if Mag can come in up with something big. Oh, Matt's back. Hello, Matt.
Yeah, and we're down to like 45 seconds on the clock, right? I mean, this one has to be huge for Mag. Yeah, it connects with 3.
Good. Ooh, proper double dash though. Woo-hoo-hoo. 30 seconds to go. Boss not rising. They use their rampage. They've only got a real, like a beat for this last engagement, but the Shock, they're going to do what they just did a second ago, Matt. They're just going to spawn camp.
Yeah, they're going to have to push all the way up to the spawn door. It's going to make it really difficult for Boston to do anything. I mean, what? You're going to have to... Using a sound barrier to get out of your spawn feels so terrible.
Does feel bad. There's the rampage. You're going to have to use the sound barrier right here, right now. Hits 5, and you see the boss not rising, just trying to navigate themselves around the San Francisco Shock to get back to the payload. Faith and Kilo end up going down as MCD is closing in on this rally. A couple of packs and he might just get it, but not before the San Francisco Shock can dispatch with the rest of the Uprising. MCD gets the rally. Not in time, unfortunately, and the Boston Uprising end up going down. The San Francisco Shock starting out this weekend with a bang. 3-0, clean and convincing.
It's a dominant win for the Shock, and I think it's just really down to their play. Like I mentioned, I don't think the Boston Uprising played particularly bad in this series. You look at the scoreline and you think I'm actually crazy, but they had moments in here where they looked pretty good. You're also looking at this through the lens of like a brand new tank with, you know, what, maybe 2-3 days of like practice. So
yeah,
I think for Boston, I think you're going to see much better performances, you know, as the Summer Showdown goes on.
Yeah, still early days for the mag look of this squad for the Boston Uprising. So yeah, still something to be happy about, especially the Circuit Royale point A and B. They steamrolled that one, but the Shock, they're still doing it, Matt. 15-0, only a couple of games away from breaking that Vancouver Titans record of old. Let's have a look at the player of the match, and if you can guess it right, you deserve a round of applause, but it should be pretty easy. It is going to be proper on the Genji.
It's
Who
like
thought it.
It's like boring giving him player of the match, but it's also just a disservice not to give him player of the match because he's so good. Like this series in particular, like how many times did we see him on the Genji, like able to pick up like 3-4 kills? Like sometimes not even with ult, right? You think back to Circle Royale, like the one that we showed, like the 5K, where he's able to pick up the entire team. No Dragon Blade or anything, just dash resets. He is just a tremendous player, really making you know, as big of impact on the league in the first year as like any player we've seen.
Yeah, and that's, I would love to open that kind of conversation. Has Proper been the best rookie to join the league since the season start? Like, no, it was not since the season start, but since the Overwatch League started.
Yeah, but he would be the best rookie since the season started, Jack. That would be correct.
Yeah, that is for sure, currently. That is for sure. And if he keeps up this, honestly, yeah, MVP and maybe Rookie of the Year in his sights. But a 3-0 for the Shock. Not looking too bad, but Boston Uprising still got to figure a couple of things out. Matt with Mag's incorporation. We'll see if Punk ends up playing later down the line.
It seems like the direction they want to go is with like Mag as their tank, and obviously like I think communication probably plays into some of that. But they look pretty good today. I think you know, you put them against like some of the other teams in the league. I won't mention you know, some of them, but there's a lot of teams in the league that this Boston Uprising team would have beat today. Shock just not one of them, especially when they're playing like that.
Yeah, it's a bit unlucky, but the Shock, yeah, continue their dominant streak. We're going to jump to a quick break, though. We've got another series coming up, and we'll jump to the desk first, of course. They got a Pred right today. Let's go desk.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Game Break, everybody. I'm here joined now by Finn from SanFranciscoShock. Finn, congratulations on the win. Now, my first question is, I actually heard this from, oh, hi. Yes, hi, I'll give you a wave too. I've actually, last time I talked to Violet, he told me that, you haven't really practiced Brig before, but like now because of the meta, you are on that Brig role. So how has the transition been for you onto that Brig role? 자, 첫 번째 질문 오늘 승리를 축하드리면서 지금 현 메타 때문에 많은 이제 서브 힐러 분들이 요즘 좀 브리기테를 많이 기용을 하고 있는데 저번에 바일로트 선수가 저랑 인터뷰를 할 때 그런 말씀하셨어요. 핀 선수도 좀 이렇게 브리기테를 원래 자주 하지 않는 선수인데 요즘 이렇게 하고 있다라고 했는데 좀 요즘 브리기테를 하는 거에 대해서 좀 어떠신가요?
일단 오버워치 1에서도 제가 경쟁전에서도 진짜 단 한 판도 안 했어가지고 진짜 단 한 판도 그래가지고 좀 어려운 게 있었는데 지금 조금씩 성장하고 있어가지고 근데 아직은 아예 제 플레이가 만족스럽진 않아요. 그래서 좀 더 잘해야 되겠다라는 생각이 있어요.
Right. I mean, even before the Overwatch 2, even in Overwatch 1, even in competitive, I've never actually touched Brig once. I have not ever played Brig ever in my life. So, it is a little bit difficult, but I think I am getting better along with practice and a lot of scrims. But I have to say, my performance, I haven't been very satisfied with my performance. I mean, I think it's going great. I think you're looking better and better, as like you said, with more practice. So I'm really excited to see more of that Brig play from you. My next question for you, Finn, is a very serious one. I know in Circuit Royale, like the match that we're seeing right now, before the match, you guys always have this ritual of you playing a song on the piano. So I want to know how much time you use to practice to play songs on that piano. 자, 두 번째 질문은 조금 더 진지한 질문을 제가 좀 하고 싶습니다, 핀 선수. 이번에 항상 어떻게 보면 이제 서킷 로얄 맵을 들어가기 전에 좀 이제 의식같이 핀 선수의 피아노 연주가 항상 이렇게 나오곤 하는데 여기서 이 피아노 연주를 좀 어느 정도로 연습을 하시나요? 좀 이렇게 많이 연습을 하시는 편이신가요?
일단 제가 원래 피아노를 칠 줄 알아가지고 이제 좀 쉽게 변형해서 그냥 오른손으로 할 수 있는 것들은 그냥 하고 이제 스크림 때 서킷 로얄을 하면은 이제 한 30초 정도만 이제 다음 곡 뭐 할까 하고 이제 고민하면서 이제 거기서만 연습해요. 따로 연습은 안 하는 것 같아요. 아는 거니까.
Alright, so it does help me that I do know how to play the piano. So all the songs that I play are the songs that I could only play with one hand or with my right hand. So those are the songs that I play before going into the match. As for practice, every time we're in scrims, I take about 30 seconds to practice, but like nothing too major, but something that's easy to do. Whenever if the Circuit Royale is the map that we're practicing, whenever I have a downtime, that's when I used to practice it. Alright, Finn, that is it for the interview. Thank you so much for your time. Again, big congratulations on the win. 자, 이걸로 인터뷰 마치겠고요. 감사합니다. 바이바이.
바이바이.
Asking the hard-hitting questions and getting the answers we really want
the things the fans want to know.
That was a very serious question.
Yeah, it was always good to know. I have a question, Danny.
Why were you guys laughing?
What do you mean?
No, were you guys laughing?
You were laughing.
You were laughing, I know.
So piano is just piano in Korean?
Yeah.
Is piano in Swedish too?
Yeah.
Is there any other language that just like translates piano to
or is piano just a unique word that is the same?
That everyone says piano in all languages.
Let us know on the internet.
How do you say piano in? Piano, mate. No.
Piano, mate. Yeah.
Piano, mate. All right.
Every time.
Wow. Let us know. Yeah, let us know on Twitter how to say piano in your language. Wherever you are, all languages welcome. Now, we did do our homework, actually. We did do our job that we're paid to do. We found out that the SanFranciscoShock, including last season's regular season matches, are now on an 18-0 regular season.
So they need one more?
They need one more to tie the Vancouver Titans 19-match win streak from 2019 season, of course. And the San Francisco Shock will be playing the Los Angeles Gladiators later this weekend for that tie matchup. So, you better not miss it. It's going to be good, and you'll be like, well, you know, the other Gladiators have struggled so far. They got happy in the lineup now, okay? They got happy.
Yeah, no excuses.
No excuses, all right? It's going to be one heck of a matchup to tie up the Vancouver Titans map record. Now, of course, this one, bit one-sided.
It was a game.
It was out of all the Overwatch League matches ever played, this was one of them.
Yeah.
The San Francisco Shock, they 3-0'd the Boston Uprising, who, you know, Boston struggled a little bit last week, but you thought with Mag coming into this lineup, maybe they'd show us something different, they'd show us something interesting, but instead, I mean, it was the proper show here, Costa.
Yeah, it's hard to determine whether or not this failure by the Boston Uprising in this loss of like how one-sided it was is because of the addition of Mag made them less coordinated, or if it's just the sheer amount of pressure that the San Francisco Shock are putting on. We know how good Shock is in this meta, in just any meta it feels like right now. Finn looks way more comfortable on that Brig after a pretty poor statistical performance in the first weekend, but you know, we talk about him all the time. Proper is just absolutely ridiculous on that Genji. He really sets the tempo for them. He is always one of the most aggressive players, draws a lot of attention, and that gives everyone else way more space to work. So, you know, the Shock just putting on a clinic of how this should be played, but there was just a mess of ultimates from the Boston Uprising, honestly, just really struggling to get anything coordinated going. And the Shock were just applying so much pressure by standing in their spawn on this Circle Royale. They were standing on top of that tent for what felt like 4 minutes, just waiting for them to exit spawn. So Shock have a great grasp of how they want to play this meta and playing it aggressively as they always do.
I was in pain when I just saw them on the rooftop, just standing there waiting for Boston to come out. Like, come out, come on, face us! And I was like, I felt intimidated for Boston Uprising. It was awful. But as I mentioned, like Proper just went ham. I almost had Profit. No, it was Proper, like the actual Rookie of the Year front runner at this point, probably Danny. I mean, just give us like the obligated contractual 1 minute on Proper here, Danny.
1 minute? That's a long time. You're going to go.
It's a long time.
Okay.
Surely
Proper, I honestly think he should be the first Overwatch League player to be MVP and Rookie of the Year at the same time.
Yeah.
Honestly, like,
double down.
Yeah, you know, like there's no one I think no one comes close as of right now. Who comes close to Proper? Maybe like you know, talking about like Kevster, maybe Profit, but even then, I think just Proper is just on another level. Like he's on another level right now, and his performance shows, like his hero pulls, everything about him. I don't think you could dispute this. Like he's
no. I mean, obviously, like we're halfway through the season, so it could all change. It's not any of all we're like taking it out in advance, right? Yeah. But Proper, as of this moment, he just stands out in a very unique way whenever you get the chance to see the Shock play.
Yeah, obviously there's going to be people rumbling about Kevster. You know, Kevster has won the kickoff clash, the mid-season tournament, and he has been just as incredible. But I think Proper showed in the mid-season tournament when Kevster and Proper went toe-to-toe time and time again, even in the matches that the Shock lost, I think Proper came out ahead on a lot of those scenarios. So his flexibility on top of that, as Danny said, I think he is the front runner. We have a lot of season left to go. You never know what's going to happen with some of these other teams. But for right now, I think some people were questioning whether or not he was going to be this dominant in the league. You know, obviously, he's dominating in contenders on O2 Blast, but it's just contenders. No, he's the real deal, and he is, you know, a dynasty player. Yep. We are going to watch him for many years.
That's me. I was one of those people who were like, he was famous in contenders. We'll see how he does in the big league. Oh wow! Okay.
I was wrong.
Well, slowly, just everyone will become Proper fans. Slowly, bit by bit, match by match. Wow, I mean, what a 3-0 by the San Francisco Shock. We got one more match today here, of course. Please don't be a 3-0. Please don't be a 3-0, okay? We've had some map 5s last weekend. Maybe this is another one of those. We'll discuss it. It's going to be the Toronto Defiant taking on the Dallas Fuel, who have looked really good. And Danny, you're perking up. You're like, yeah, Dallas Fuel, they're back.
They're back, but at the same time, I really want this to be close as well, because Toronto,
they gotta
like
make
I said,
it.
they have to make it. You guys, it'll be a very sad tournament if it's in Toronto, and if there's no Toronto, it's gonna be a Toronto-less Toronto tournament.
Wow, that was well done.
Yeah.
You got all the way through it.
Come on, Toronto. I know this is gonna be an uphill battle, but We'll see. All right.
Do you think they can do it? Do you think they can do it, Costa?
Toronto have looked good. Like they are genuinely a good team in this meta right now. I think that they're playing well. Hopper on that Junker Queen, I think, impressed.
Feels like this is my hero.
Yeah, this is
my hero.
It was built for me. He's a very mechanically skilled tank, and he's finally stepping up and being able to use those mechanics. But then, you have Although coming into the lineup playing a very solid Genji. Husu was always good on that hit scan, and we've talked to death about the backline. So, it'll be exciting to see these two go because we're starting to really get an idea for where all these teams stand, right? Like New York Excelsior is a prime example of, we saw one weekend, we were like, oh, they must be really good, and then, yeah, maybe not anymore. So, like, Toronto, where do they really stand now that they're going up against Dallas Fuel and we get another weekend to look at them?
Yeah, I quickly want to hit on the Dallas Fuel before we throw it over to casters. Dallas Fuel, of course, struggling in the midseason madness, but then last week they looked on fire. They beat the LA Gladiators, of course, and you're like, wow, the Dallas Fuel look amazing so far. If you are the Toronto Defiant, who, like, on Dallas are you concerned about? That you're scared it will, like, take over the game and have too much impact? Who would you want, like, to remove from the Dallas Fuel if you're at Toronto?
In my experience, whenever Dallas have played a meta like this, if you can find a way to make Hanbin uncomfortable, I feel like it has a ripple effect across everyone else. Because obviously you can have your DPS diffs and you can have those moments, but the Hanbin factor, he is the one calling the shots, he is the one leading the tempo. Historically, whenever they've fallen apart, it's when Hanbin just can't play his game.
All right. Well, we're going to throw it over to our casters once more, and it's going to be Jaws and Mr. X, and hopefully this one actually, there's a few maps in it. Now, Jaws, I need to know, do you have any more Hotba facts for us?
There has to be more.
Hotba facts. I have a singular Hotba fact.
You can make one up. Scott made up one earlier.
That's true, yes. Scott, not the best track record of having the truest takes on the desk.
I
Hotba,
didn't bring it up.
he likes...
He's played Junker Queen 64% of the time.
There you go. No, okay. Mine was real though. I saw him on camera do it the other day. He had a cool glass of cola. He likes cola. There you go.
I also love that Danny, Lemon Kiwi earlier on the broadcast mentioned how you shouldn't say the second T in Toronto, and Danny, when he just said Toronto 1,000 times, it was basically the second T was bolded exclamation after it, and then a little O. He emphasized the second T to more than I've ever heard anybody do. Danny, I love you. Never change. I miss you.
So it's supposed to be Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto.
Toronto, no Toronto.
Yeah, evidently. We get
bonus
bonus points if we go.
All right.
I don't think we'll be kicked out.
We can play a water drinking
I think
game
they'll appreciate
here,
us more.
Every time you hear the caster say 2 T's, have a sip of water.
Yeah. Responsible.
Yeah.
All right.
If I want to be proper British Queen's English, I'd say the double T, but maybe I'll stoop down to the American level.
When you also asked how Scott would say piano in Australian,
I'm gonna
Canadian?
Look, it's basically a different language. Right, we're going to have to say goodbye. Goodbye, desk.
Completely.
Thank you. We love you. We'll see you later.
Bye.
We're going into our
Enjoy.
second game. Our second game, Matt. It's the third game of the day.
Yep.
Toronto Defiant and the Dallas Fuel. I hope it's a little bit of a longer game, Matt, because you know what? I actually enjoy casting with you. It's crazy. I never thought I'd say that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even believe that to be true, so I'm just going to gloss over it. Toronto, this is a huge series for them, right? Like how the desk was talking about, wanting to qualify for their event. They've looked pretty good throughout this tournament. Their schedule is brutal, though, throughout the Summer Showdown, where they're ultimately going to have to beat some of these teams at the top. Dallas is their first go. I believe they got the Gladiators during the Summer Showdown coming up here as well. No freebies. They did actually get by, looking back on it, the win against the Titans in Game 5 was, massive, right? Because the Titans may be a team that, a lot of other teams won't beat, right? With the way they're looking. So, this series is massive for their chances to qualify.
Yeah, let's have a look who's starting today for Toronto. Hisu, Although, Hotba, Chorong, and Twilight is going to be your starting 5 for today. But yeah, Matt, it is fairly important that they find the dub here. Their schedule, especially against the Dallas Fuel, who everybody has been rating extremely highly. I remember we talked about it on Patch Chat the other day. Look, Dallas Fuel is up there with teams right now. We did also say that New York was the same thing.
Yeah, I gotta say, ever since I haven't appeared on some of those episodes, power rank is very inaccurate. Very inaccurate.
No, I blame Scott or somebody. I don't know. Maybe Connor. Maybe I blame Connor for that one. Twisted my arm a little bit to believe in the Yaki. I don't know. We'll see if New York Excelsior find a couple of dubs later down the line. But yeah, Toronto's schedule not the easiest.
Yeah. The one thing that's interesting to me for the Defiant throughout this stage is like we have seen a lot of Hotba, and Hotba's looked pretty good on the Junker Queen. Her playstyle though is so aggressive, and that's something that like Muse I thought was actually really successful at, was really good at, was that fast aggressive style of play, where would have been interesting to see what he looks like playing the Junker Queen.
Yeah, but he is going against Harbin today, which, like the Des was talking about earlier on, like Harbin has also been a spectacular player for the Dallas Fuel since his very first addition to the team, right? Harbin is just such a good off-tank. Came in, played alongside Fearless when we were back in Overwatch 1, and they both looked unstoppable. The double bubble meta is something that stands out in my head. Like, it fit the team so well, and yeah, Harbin can kind of continue to dominate. And then you've also got someone like Sparku, who is exceptional on the Genji. Like, a lot of pieces are falling into place in this meta for Dallas Fuel.
I think for the scary thing when you're going against the Fuel here today, if you're the Defiant, is Sparkle has the ability on Genji to do what we just saw Proper do to the Boston Uprising, right? Like, he is that good and talented on that specific hero, and that hero is very strong right now. Which that could be a big problem for you throughout the series, where I think if you're the Defiant, then you can kind of neutralize his impact as much as possible, right? Don't let him get going and start to really kind of get in a groove like we just saw Proper do. You have kind of like a puncher's chance in this one.
Yeah, most definitely. It's like shutting down Sparkle might be the key. Hisu, on the other hand, he's going to be in the 1v1. No, sorry, not the 1v1, not against Sparkle, it'll be against Edison. But although has also been another player that's come in from a team that didn't do great in the London Spitfire back in 2020. I remember that roster was a little bit all over the place. A lot of different players picked up from various, like, even some tier 3 teams, like Genji B, Genji S kind of thing. And that was a crazy time to be kind of a London fan. It was a big transition phase for the team, and although it was part of that roster, but he's really found his footing in Toronto Defiant in 2022, 2023, we're not there yet, Jesus Christ. And it's been quite exciting to see him develop, because he kind of left my memory with that London squad. He wasn't really a player that stood out a lot. It was like Glister on that roster. That was the only person that really stood up and was like, okay, I'm going to pull this team to some wins. But man, in the Genji meta, all those mechanics, they've been rather sharp.
For me, like, the Toronto Defiant is the most, like, the talent is their team we have. Like, I know how we've said that, like, a billion times throughout the season, but, like, this is a team that you look across the board and, like, you get pretty excited about a lot of the players they have, across their roster. It's just, can they kind of put game plans and put them in position to succeed? See them get off to a start here today with Hisu actually going to be playing the Ashe instead of the Sojourn.
Yeah, I don't mind it, especially if you're on like a defensive play, if you have the point.
So we don't mind it.
Wait,
he went down to like 0 HP instantly and just got gone across map.
How the hell did that happen? I was just that was Harmon like randomly shooting him in the background.
It was interesting because like he didn't take high ground. Like you could have taken like whether it's on top of the building or like maybe even the ledge, right? You kind of come out of that building and you have a little bit of an overhang. He was actually on like ground level, like and Hanbin able to just get really close to him, which is kind of the opposite. Yeah, you want the Ashe in this type of position, right? Where you can control this high ground, lay down damage from above, and there's nowhere for really the Dallas Fuel to go.
Wow, Chio went super low after he got hit by that dynamite. Commanding shout for the Dallas Fuel is going to help Chio and Sparkle stay alive. Maybe not for long though, although throws a sharper shurikens his way. They do end up trading, so Toronto Defiant having to back up. They lost their Junker Queen, so no frontline pressure.
You trade, but it's not like you can continue to fight after the trade, right? You lose your Junker Queen, you just kind of have to back up. There's no way you're gonna. And it's the second time that Hanbin's able to find Hisu first, where the Defiant not giving themselves a chance really at the beginning here.
Yeah, look at that. 5-0 rally pop by Fielder just to kind of secure the fight. Yeah, Hisu was on high ground. He then dropped down. Maybe he saw an opening somehow. It's a bit difficult to get protected up there too. You just have to keep like juggling the edge. So you are slightly vulnerable to Chio and Sparkle if you do LS your healers.
I also think it's difficult if you're Toronto to figure out like if it's just like a compositional thing where maybe you have to play the Sojourn, like, because you're not really getting anything going in these fights, right? So it's difficult to find out like whether your comp is being, you know, ineffective or whether you need to make a change or it's just positioning and whatnot. Because every fight really this far has just been dominated by the Dallas Fuel.
Yeah, they even used that bomb too that he's been able to build up. I mean, Dallas Fuel, luckily for Toronto, don't have any support ultimates. 95% coming up. Toronto Defiant are making a two-man push around the side to get that touch. So although with the Blade and Twilight with the Rally are going to be on point, but the Dallas Fuel see an opening and maybe trying to push to the spawn room of Toronto Defiant to try and find some
this is a
lacking Defiant members. Although he does have a Blade, he does Bullet, Edison and Shio end up going down to the Genji as they do manage to find the flip in the air.
It's like a two-player flank from the Defiant. Dallas recognized it, decided to give up the point and push forward, but never really fully committed to push forward. Maybe they ended up like overlapping speed with like Shout and Lucio, and they just weren't able to get close enough, and then they didn't have anything to get back. Just it put them in a really weird situation between, you know, 3 players coming with speed from one side and a Dragon Blade on the other.
Oh, huge rampage from Hopper. Equally as large rampage from Hanbin. Fielder is so low, but Sparkle's pulled the Blade. He's a rallying break straight in his face, but Twilight had the bash to get away and create some distance. Unfortunately for Hopper, although they suffered at the hands of the Dallas Fuel. 50% in building for Toronto as the Dallas Fuel used that commanding shout to push them onto point and just isolate Twilight. Shio finds 2 kills in the fight, and the Dallas Fuel are going to be able to find the cap, and overtime is triggered. Although to touch to re-trigger OT, but he's got no dash, he's got no reflect, and he's got no health left. And the Fuel will claim round 1.
Yeah. Percentage looks way closer than what I think actually kind of like the gameplay represented there is the Defiant able to kind of go around on a flank, flip the point. Like we mentioned, Dallas really left in like no man's land there in the middle, not able to get anything going. It'll be interesting whether the Defiant stay with Hisu here on the Ashe or want to switch up to the Sojourn. I feel like you kind of highlighted it. The Ashe feels like it's like way more of like a defensive pick, where, you know, Sojourn obviously can, you know, get up in the mix and kind of brawl a little bit more close range.
What was this play here? Oh, this was... Oh, no way. Well,
yeah,
that sucks.
Like, he's like, I'm not taking this 5 players down. I'm out.
Anyway, peace. Wow. No, you can't these days.
Bob's yelling at everybody, reset, reset.
Yeah, reset, get off the mat, every reset. God damn. Yeah, Bob kind of cold though.
Yeah.
All right, Toronto, what you got? What you got? Oh, you got a lot, apparently. All right, Bob's the IGL. Finally, an AI IGL. Technically, it would be perfect, right? Because it's AI, knows exactly what's going on at all times.
Can Toronto get the space here, Jack? Like, Dallas feels like they're just collapsing on them so fast. Like, can they back up and give Hisu the... Well, Hisu gets picked off by Edison. I was going to say, can they give Hisu the space? Because that sort of feels like, to me, like this thing is all predicated on, right? Like, if you can just survive the neutral and give Hisu the space from a distance, no, you can battle out and win. Although, and Hoppa coming up clutch here may end up pulling this out.
Yeah. Overeager from the Dallas Fuel, it feels like there, although just kind of carving Toronto Defiant a new one, but somehow Gio comes up big with a couple of kills. But with Hisu dying so early, he's able to come back pretty fast. Toronto Defiant, they do end up speeding all the way back. Even Gio surviving at that point, it manages to escort the rest of the Fuel back to the point fairly quickly. So even if Hisu did come back early, he's not going to be able to withstand the pressure from like 4 Dallas Fuel members.
So, see now the Dallas Fuel in control of the point, but there's going to be another fast attack here as Toronto does have a rally. So do you rally Blade here? Maybe you can like disengage here. You know, oh, that's a big pick. I was going to say maybe you could have like disengaged here for a little bit, right? Then came back with like your Blade after, because you know there's no rally available for the Fuel. So that's a big pick off.
Oh, there's the rally. Althoug's got the blade. Chorong with the beat. They've got a lot to work with. It's whether they can actually get anything done. Already, Twilight's rally's just getting poked at by Edison. And now a later rally from the Fuel. Toronto Defy are going to have to respond, and they do so with a beat and a blade. Although dashes forward, is Godfielder in his sights, and the Dallas Fuel's rally is still just ongoing. So that overhealth continually building during that fight. Luckily, though, Hisu is granted space and takes care of Sparkle, but Edison's overclock might be a little bit better than the DPS ults from the Toronto Defiant as Gio finds yet another final blow. The Dallas Fuel holding down this point. They ended up flipping, and now they got 60+% building.
Now the Dallas Fuel starting to get rolling on this point where it felt like Toronto had a little bit of an opportunity there, right? It's, we'll see what Bob's decision is now, whether to stay and fight or... Well, there's not really a spot where you can run and reset here, so... See how Hisu decides to use him. You can kind of like put him in this corner, right, and get like a crossfire on the point and maybe get aggressive.
Yeah. Look at Armin's position though. He set up that rally.